Hello, this is Sam. Welcome to my channel. And I'm playing a game called the Aurora Chronicles. This is a key review game that I've received from the devs. So we're going to just jump straight in. And we've got Azzy and Lyra here. Hello, hello. Let's go. New game. We love going in new games. Okay, episode 1, first lie. Ooh. Your crew is at their stations 3 years together. Professional, optimistic, ready. Cozy Game Space. Hello. Thanks for joining us again. We're going to see what happens in this one. The holographic projector flickers to life. Admiral Elise Carter materializes smiling. Not a problem, Cozy Game Space. Thank you for lurking.
Good morning, Aurora. I hope you're ready for something special.
All right, she's a bit loud. Menu. Settings. Let's turn the voice volume down. That was a bit loud. Let's try that again. We'll see how loud this is, guys. It was very loud, wasn't it? Okay, we're going to try that again. The view screen changes, a planet appears, blue-green, beautiful, achingly familiar.
System designation HX227. We call the planet Harmony, and we call its people the listeners.
The listeners, how's that sound now? Is that as loud or just a little bit more down? She's better?
Sentient species? That's confirmed?
All right. I might just do it because I've done the, okay, what I'm going to do is this. That one is good levels. All right. I'll leave where it is then. We'll keep an eye on it though. I'm just a bit, yeah, it'll be something.
Confirmed. Survey drones detected clear signs of intelligent life 6 months ago. Organized agriculture and walled settlements. Signs of early metalworking, too. But here's what makes them special.
Thanks, Azzy. Thank you. Okay, the view screen shifts to aerial images, settlements built with strange architecture, all curves and tall spires. Wow. I wonder what that thing in the middle is.
They communicate through music, complex tonal languages, architecture optimized for acoustics. They don't just talk, they sing to each other.
Oh, nice.
Hence, listeners.
Hence the listeners. Okay.
Exactly. Your mission is observation only. Protocol 7, high orbit, passive sensors, no contact. Document their culture, assess their development trajectory, and determine if they're candidates for eventual first contact. Prime directive applies.
So we're cosmic anthropologists with a really expensive telescope. Got it.
He looks bright and sparky, doesn't he?
That's one way to put it. But remember, this is historic. If they continue developing peacefully, we could be witnessing humanity's next great friendship. First contact is generations away, but it starts with missions like this.
Nice. So many new characters. Ooh, something. I like it. She looks directly at you. Oh, no.
Commander, your crew has the expertise for this. Kira's xenobiology background, Marcus's technical expertise, Amara's tactical awareness, Jax's unique instincts.
We're not too sure how to describe Jax. That's what I get from her. I'm the commander. So Kira, Marcus, Amira, and Jax. So Kira is let's say biology. Marcus is technical. Hi, Cozy Chrissy. Thank you for lurking. That is so lovely of you. Amara is tactical and Jax has instincts. unique. She smiles at Jax.
I'm confident you'll handle this with the care it deserves.
All right.
Questions?
No. How do you respond to the mission briefing? Oh, quiet, professional acknowledgement, thoughtful consideration. Well, I like. You take a moment, gaze fixed on the planet. The weight of responsibility settles. Welcome and right.
Take your time, assess carefully. I'll expect your first report in 72 hours. Aurora, command out.
Report in 72 hours. That's about 3 days, isn't it? Take your time. Assessing. Hologram dissolves.
Fascinating. How they developed language through pure acoustics. This could change everything we thought we knew about communication.
That's Kira. She's biology.
I'll establish monitoring protocols. Track any unusual activity. Text signatures, signs of conflict.
That's a mirror.
3 years, and this is our first pre-contact civilization. About time.
He's technical, I think it's.
So what you're all saying is, we get to listen to an entire planet of beings who sing at each other, either beautiful or deeply annoying. No in between.
Why can't it just be pleasant?
Look at that architecture, optimized for sound propagation. You don't develop that level of sophistication without serious artistic sensibility.
Or they're just really loud.
They communicate through music, Jax. Complex harmonic structures.
Music is in bold.
Which could still be really loud.
I think he's trying to tell me it's loud for his ears.
72 hours of surveillance? Let's hope they're not nocturnal.
Actually, that's a good point. Do we know their sleep cycles?
Nope.
Survey data suggests roughly 18-hour activity cycles. We'll have gaps.
Okay.
Gaps are good. Gaps mean coffee breaks.
We have coffee? Awesome. Someone at least remembered to bring the coffee. 30 minutes later, pre-jump preparations. I thought we were just looking.
FTL calculations locked. Jump window opens in 10 minutes. Course plotted to system HX227, high orbit insertion. Travel time 3 days, 4 hours.
Fusion reactor holding at 98%. FTL drive, charging normally. Plenty of exotic matter for the jump. Comfortable margin.
Sensors
Okay.
primed for passive mode. I've loaded our full database on Bronze Age development patterns.
Defensive systems on standby. Not expecting trouble from a pre-FTL species, but protocols are protocols.
I'd be sticking with the protocols. I'm not too sure I'm going to be a good commander.
This is actually happening. First alien culture observation mission.
We've met the entangled, negotiated with the Stoics, explored architect ruins, but all of those species knew we existed. This is different. Witnessing a civilization before they even know we're out here.
Bet they'll be surprised when they do find out. Hey, we've been watching you sing at each other for centuries. Hope that's not weird.
By the time they develop tech to detect us, we'll have shifted to proper first contact protocols. This is just anthropology, documentation.
I'm still a little confused. Are we just looking at them for
More than
3
that.
days?
If we do this right, we're laying groundwork for peaceful integration when they're ready, proving we can approach another species with respect and patience.
She looks around at the crew.
The Alliance's values matter most when nobody's watching.
Well said.
Jump window opening in 5. Everybody strap in. Figure of speech, inertial dampeners handle the rest.
You really need to work on your inspirational speeches, Jax.
Ha!
I contain multitudes.
The FTL drive reaches full charge. Reality bends. The ship vanishes. 3 days later. Didn't the Didn't the Admiral want a report in 72 hours, or does she mean 72 hours after we arrive? I'm confused. Transition ending, the view screen resolves.
FTL exit complete. Position confirmed, high orbit over Harmony. All systems nominal.
The listener homeworld fills the screen. Everyone stops to look.
Beautiful.
Population's around 1.2 million based on the drone surveys. 3 major continents, lots of islands. Settlements concentrated along coasts and river valleys.
So settlements are along coast and river valleys.
Orbital
Okay.
space is clear. No satellites, no debris. We're the only thing up here.
Sounds a bit crazy.
They have no idea we're here. Right now, they're just living their lives, making music, raising kids, farming, arguing, falling in love. And they don't know that above them.
Humanity is watching, hoping they survive long enough for us to meet them as equals.
The view screen zooms in. Land masses, mountains, rivers. Somewhere down there, someone is waking up to a new
Drones
day.
found about 200 settlements. The biggest has nearly 100,000 people.
Wow.
We're calling it Resonance City. Pretty significant for Bronze Age.
Sensors are pulling data now, acoustic and bioelectric signatures. The listeners are something else entirely. Their auditory processing is incredibly sophisticated compared to ours.
Any signs of conflict, warfare?
Hard to confirm, but early surveys suggest they're not aggressive. Their architecture is communal, gathering halls, not fortifications. Then again, Bronze Age humans had music and art alongside warfare, too.
I was wondering about that too, Azzy. Wondering how much they can hear us or how much they can.
Cultural assessment is going
Wow.
to take time. We need to understand the basics, how they handle disputes, how they organize, whether they even have concepts like property or hierarchy.
Hi, Granitas Games. Welcome in. Okay.
In other words, are they going to be good neighbors, or are we having that conversation a few thousand years from now?
Oh.
Blunt way to put it.
But accurate. We're evaluating them. That's what this is.
It
We're
is.
observing them. There's a
Mm.
difference. We're not judging whether they deserve to exist. We're assessing when and how to make contact, if at all.
The Prime
Oh.
Directive assumes we
Okay.
have the wisdom to make that call.
It assumes we have the humility to wait until they're ready. That's different.
Orbit stable. We can initiate observation protocols whenever you're ready, Commander.
You give the order, the observation begins. Okay, Kira's lab, first data stream. She's practically vibrating with excitement.
Commander, perfect timing. We need to establish methodology before I start the main analysis.
Amira enters, arms
I
crossed.
figured you'd be having this conversation. Wanted to weigh in.
Okay.
72 hours. I want to push for full spectrum sweeps, close orbit passes, get us right over those settlements while we have the chance.
That's aggressive. Every sensor ping is a detection risk.
True.
Detection risk is minimal. They're Bronze Age. They can't even detect radio waves, let alone our passive sensors.
But what about this singing?
Passive sensors, sure. But full spectrum sweeps and close orbit passes aren't passive, Kira.
So full spectrum sweeps and close orbit passes.
The Alliance sent us here for data. 72 hours of playing it safe means we go home with surface readings instead of real understanding.
True.
And if we push too hard and contaminate the observation, create some anomaly they notice, we've compromised every future study of this species.
That's extremely unlikely.
Unlikely isn't impossible.
Can't we do something in the middle? They both look at you, clearly expecting you to settle
Commander,
this.
what's our approach?
Something in the middle? How about you? How would you approach this observation? Cautious, a balance, and adaptive. I like balance. You propose a flexible methodology, start conservative, adapt based on findings.
Cautious with an asterisk.
I can live with that. We establish baseline, then discuss any escalation before implementation.
Yep.
Fine. But when I find something worth investigating further, I expect support to actually investigate it.
If it's warranted, you'll have it.
I'll hold you to that.
The tension doesn't fully dissipate, and they've reached a working
I'll start configuring
agreement.
the sensor arrays.
And I'll establish monitoring protocols. For what it's worth, Kira, I know this matters to you. I'm not trying to sabotage your research.
I know, you're doing your job. We both are.
Continuing from the methodology discussion, Kira brings up the preliminary
Now,
findings.
Let me show you what we found. The listeners are remarkable.
Oh, wow. She brings up a hologram, a listener, full body, slowly rotating. They look intelligent. Humanoid, but distinctly alien, forearms, tall and slender, skin that shifts color, large, complex ears. That's what I'm worried about. Is can they, like as he said, do they know that we're here?
Carbon-based, like us, but their auditory system is incredible. They perceive frequencies way beyond our range, from subsonic all the way to ultrasonic.
They will
And here's the
eat us, says
fascinating
he.
part.
I think they know. I do too. If they can hear this well, audio waveform appears, complex patterns dance across the display.
Their language isn't just musical, it is music. They use multiple tones at once, harmonic relationships, rhythmic layers. One phrase can convey emotion, information, and social context all at the same time.
She plays a sample, beautiful complex tones fill the lab.
That was approximately, "Good morning, how is your garden growing?" But the tonal variations also indicate the speaker's emotional warmth, their social relationship to the listener, and even a subtle reference to seasonal weather patterns.
How would you know?
In 3 seconds, they're communicating what would take us multiple sentences and nonverbal cues combined. It's elegant.
New images appear. Aerial views of listener settlements, curved structures, tall spires, organic flowing signs.
Their architecture reflects this. Those spires aren't religious. They're acoustic amplifiers.
Oh, wow.
The entire city is engineered for sound propagation. Imagine a civilization where every building doubles as a musical instrument.
Ah, okay.
The culture is deeply communal. Their settlements center around gathering spaces where they vocalize together. We're talking citywide choirs, and decisions seem to emerge from consensus. They literally harmonize to agree.
Just give me one moment, guys. I just need to check something. No, I realized that I didn't have the right for some reason. The description for the game that I put into the thing didn't work, so I've just refreshed it into Studio, which means if you refresh your stream, the correct description of the game will actually appear. For some reason, it was the previous one that was there. So it's a crew of 4, mysteries at the edge of a known space, a utopia that might be more fragile than it appears. The Aurora Chronicles is it episodic sci-fi visual novel where your choices shape relationships, uncover various secrets, and test whether hope can survive what you discover. All right, fixed it. Okay, so she looks directly at
If
you.
they maintain this trajectory, peaceful, artistic, collaborative, first contact with them could be one of humanity's greatest achievements.
All right, so she pauses, looking at the listener hologram with unusual thoughtfulness. I do wonder whether they know.
You know, every other species we've encountered, they knew we were there.
Yep.
They could choose to engage with us or walk away. But this, observing a civilization that can't consent to our presence, what does that mean to you?
I'm not sure that they can't. The question hangs between you, not radical, but she generally wants your she does observing a pre-contact civilization mean to you. I do wonder whether or not this hearing and sound thing goes a certain distance, or even if it's further. It's an opportunity, all right. I don't think it's not a responsibility. You focus on the scientific value, understanding pre-contact development patterns.
Exactly. Every piece of data helps us understand how civilizations develop. The listeners could validate theories we've held for decades, or force us to rethink them entirely.
She catches herself.
I suppose opportunity sounds a bit clinical. They're not just data points. I have to remind myself of that sometimes.
She turns back to her displays, the conversation clearly still processing.
Sometimes I wonder what they'd think if they knew. Would they be frightened, excited? Would they feel violated that we watched? I suppose we'll find out. Someday, when they're ready and someone else makes first contact. If we do our jobs right, we'll have laid the groundwork.
I'm a very cautious person, and I like balance, and I don't like conflict. So that sort of is going to progress me through a particular way that I play games like this, where you've got choices to make. And I find that unless the game has picked up on a humor tone and you just then want to have fun with it and do something different, then the more serious side of things like this, what this game is appearing to be, is that I'm more of a balanced person, and I don't like taking risks. But we'll see. We'll see how we go. Just letting you know that I'm more of a safe sort of decision maker. Even though I know that certain things will do certain ways, sometimes you do have to lean into a risk, Azzy. I do agree with that. So I'm sort of being conscious as to how much information I'm getting, as to possibly what might happen. Engineering Marcus is at
Commander,
work.
taking the walking tour?
I'm taking a tour.
Ships running beautifully. Fusion reactor at 97%. FTL drives cooling down nicely. We could jump again in 8 hours if we needed to. But since we're here for 72...
So as he's saying that sometimes balance isn't the answer, and that you have to end up picking a side. Yeah. So as he plays a few games like this as well, where it's a visual novel and you're making choices. So it's an interesting balance, this is.
Plenty of time to pamper her. 3 years on this ship. 3 years of survey missions, mapping asteroid belts, investigating dead precursor sites, running medical supplies to frontier colonies. Good work. Important work. But this, a living, thriving culture, this is what we signed up for. This is the dream.
So after 3 years on this ship, you'd pretty much know the ship pretty well. So I would say I have a bit of trust in this fellow.
I studied history before engineering, ancient civilizations, how cultures develop, why some empires last and others collapse. And there's one pattern that keeps showing up. The civilizations that survive, they're the ones that learn to coexist. The ones that saw every stranger as a threat, they're gone.
Oh, okay.
The listeners sing to each other. We spend centuries fighting over everything: land, ideas, who's in charge. Maybe they're just ahead of us in the ways that matter. Or maybe music isn't enough. Maybe they'll hit the same walls we did. Not enough to go around, too much fear, too many reasons to fight. And maybe they'll get past it, or maybe they won't. Either way, we're here to watch, to remember. And if they make it to the stars someday, we get to say, we knew you when you were young. Welcome to the cosmos. Sorry. Gets philosophical down here. Too much time alone with machines. You start thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah. A diagnostic beeps, he checks it. Nods.
Systems are all green. We're in good shape for extended observation. Kira will get all the data she needs.
Okay. So technical station.
Commander,
So we're with the
I've
Mara.
completed preliminary security assessment of the system. No immediate threats. No hostile ships. No weapon signatures. Nothing aggressive anywhere nearby. As far as surveillance targets go, the listeners are about as low risk as it gets.
Okay.
That said, I'm running standard defensive protocols. Shields ready, point defense up, sensors watching for anything odd. I don't expect trouble, but that's how we stay safe.
Good.
This is my first pre-contact observation mission too. Kira's thinking about science. Marcus about how they built all this. Jack's about the flying. Me? I'm thinking about keeping everyone safe.
Yeah.
We're watching them, but they're vulnerable. No FTL, no orbital defenses. No way to even see threats coming from space. If something hostile entered this system,
Can their music be aggressive? That could be interesting, Azzy, because you do wonder if sound itself can be a weapon.
they'd have no warning, no chance.
Well, you
The
don't
Prime
know.
Directive says we don't interfere. But what if someone else does? What if the next ship that finds them is an alliance? We tell ourselves we're observing for eventual first contact, but we're also evaluating whether they're worth protecting, whether they deserve a place in the alliance. And that's a lot of responsibility for 4 people in a survey ship. Sorry. Tactical officers think about worst-case scenarios. Occupational hazard.
As he said, the game is setting up to believe they are peaceful. I do, yeah. It may not be the case, yeah.
For what it's worth, they seem peaceful, cooperative. If they survive long enough to develop space travel, I think they'd make good allies. And if they develop better music than human composers, even better. Galaxy could use more art and less war.
But the thing is it really music or is it just communication? Like that's how they communicate. So why it may sound like music to us, it doesn't mean anything. Like it doesn't mean that music, it's communication. Evening the mess hall, compact but comfortable, crew bonding time.
Preliminary analysis is done. The listeners are not what I expected. Complex social structures, genuine artistry, collective problem solving.
I'm just going to eat some watermelon, guys, while I'm sitting here, listening to the story too.
Technologically, they're Bronze Age. But culturally, they might be ahead of where we were.
Translation? They're doing great. Can we keep them?
Can we keep them?
First contact candidates, not pets, but yes, a few millennia from now, assuming they keep developing peacefully.
So their assumptions about Bronze Age might just be that, yeah, it might actually be wrong.
That's assuming they develop at our pace, though.
Meaning?
We're using human history as the yardstick. But think about it. They're transmitting complex ideas in seconds. If knowledge spreads faster, Everything compounds faster.
Yeah, as I agree. Music, like how whales communicate, very complex, more so than humans. That's right. And then to us, the whale sounds sound like music, but it's actually the way they communicate. And to us, it sounds like really quite sweet.
That's actually a fair point. Every time we found a faster way to share knowledge, development accelerated. They might not need as many steps.
Great, now I'm stressed about a deadline centuries away.
Unlikely to be that fast, but not impossible.
Bit close-minded of us, assuming everyone follows the human playbook.
Old habit. We're still working on it. What's their social structure? Leadership models?
Appears to be consensus-based. Settlements have councils, usually elder listeners with demonstrated wisdom. But any decision needs widespread support. If enough people sing in agreement, it passes. Actual singing.
How do they handle conflict? Disagreement?
Still analyzing, but it's fascinating. When two listeners disagree, they engage in what I'm calling a resolution duet. They take turns singing their positions, and the community doesn't just listen to the argument, they hear the emotion in the tones too. You can't separate them.
But aren't you sort of saying the same thing? Emotion in tones, you hear emotion in tones. It's the same as someone yelling or having a calmer voice or something. That still is communication. It's not music. It's just how you're interpreting it.
It's not debate. It's more like presenting your logic and your feelings at the same time.
So instead of yelling at each other, they sing at each other?
Essentially. And the community responds with their own vocalizations, supporting one side, proposing compromise, or sometimes synthesizing a third option no one had considered.
They're processing collectively through sound, like distributed cognition through music. That's actually brilliant.
But again, communication is sound. The fact that you're hearing music is, or you're interpreting it as music is something different.
No wonder their settlements are peaceful. Hard to start a war when every argument is a public performance.
Humans argue with words. Sometimes we shout, sometimes we hurt each other. But these folks, they made conflict into art.
That's probably optimistic. Every society has conflict. We just haven't seen how they handle real scarcity yet. But their communication modality seems to promote empathy. When you can perceive someone's emotional state in their voice, it's harder to dehumanize them. Wrong word. You know what I mean.
Slight laughter.
Think humanity could learn to communicate like that?
Biologically, no. We lack their auditory range and vocal complexity. But philosophically, maybe we already do, in a way. Music is universal. Every human culture develops it independently. The listeners appear to have done the same, but they evolved it beyond artistic expression. They made it their primary mode of communication.
Oops. My dog nearly barked, I think.
Question. If they're this peaceful now, what happens when they develop technology? When resources become scarce? When population pressures increase?
But isn't that why you're monitoring them over centuries?
That's what we're here to assess. Are they fundamentally peaceful or just peaceful because they haven't faced real scarcity yet?
Same crossroads humanity faced. Every civilization hits it eventually.
And we figured it out. They can too.
Peaceful now doesn't guarantee peaceful under pressure. We'll see.
Yeah, but you're not there to make pressure.
We'll keep observing. 72 hours isn't enough for definitive conclusions, but it's a start. We're witnessing history. Whatever we include in our report, we're part of this story now.
Yeah. Day 2. Kira's lab has become command central. Hours of work visible, coffee cups, data everywhere.
Commander, this is unprecedented. Come look at this.
Wow. I think they know we're here. That's a lot of people. Look at them all. Out there in the distance. Hologram expands. Thousands of listeners gather in resident cities. Central
Population
Plaza.
movement suggests nearly the entire city is participating. Close to 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Was this in the intel?
Survey drones didn't capture anything like this during their 6-month study. Could be seasonal, could be reactive to something we haven't identified.
You mean yourselves? At the heart of congregation, a single elder stands surrounded by their hauntingly beautiful, by their kin. The listeners began vocalizing thousands of voices in harmony, hauntingly beautiful mathematical precision beneath artistry. I think they're using all of them. Look how some of them have only got one or two, or then many sort of, I don't know, antennae sort of thing.
That's likely the community leader, the settlement council head.
What is that?
Poor Jax.
I think it's a collective decision-making event. The entire city is singing together.
It's like watching democracy as a symphony.
They watch in silence. Minutes pass. The sound rises and falls in waves. Thousands of voices weaving together.
The harmonics are shifting. That sustained tone means consensus. They've reached a decision.
Mm-mm.
We're not alone. I mean, we knew that. But this kind of not alone. 100,000 people singing together. Maybe they figured it out the same way we did.
What? That you're not alone? They are listening to you. The ship is about to get whacked. Reverent silence as they watch in the celebration. Kira breaks a moment, turning to her console.
We have good coverage. I can decode the tonal patterns, figure out what they actually decided.
How?
Give me an hour, maybe 2.
Marcus hasn't moved. He's still watching the celebration below, expression troubled.
Wait. Before we decode this, what if we find something we can't ignore?
What do you mean?
Right now, we're observers. We watch, we document, we leave. The prime directive protects us from hard choices, but knowledge changes that.
They're peaceful. Everything we've seen.
Everything we've seen is surface, public behavior. What if their beautiful democratic process just voted for something we find unconscionable?
But that's not your choice. It is an assumption.
I'm not saying don't. Just think about what it means if we do.
What would be that bad? They're singing pacifists.
Bronze Age humans had music too. Didn't make us saints. Beautiful culture, complicated people, that's usually how it goes.
The weight of that settles over the room.
Some knowledge you can't unknow. That's all I'm saying.
Not knowing doesn't change what they decided.
No, but it changes us. Right now, we're clean,
Silence.
observers. The prime directive applies, and we go home with a clear conscience.
No, you can't
If we
unsee it.
decode this, does it stay in the report, or does it follow us home?
Interesting.
We agreed on adaptive methodology. Start conservative, escalate when warranted. This is warranted.
Is it? Or is this exactly when we should be most careful?
Jax has been unusually quiet.
You know what this reminds me of? That ethics scenario from academy training. The sealed envelope.
I remember that one.
You're given an envelope, told it contains information about someone you care about. Could be good news, could be bad news, could change everything. Do you open it? Fewer people opened it than I expected. 60-40 against. The instructor said both were valid.
This isn't a training scenario.
No, it's the real thing. They look so happy. Whatever they decided, maybe it's beautiful, maybe it's complicated, maybe it's something that makes them less perfect and more real.
Everyone looks to you.
Commander, your call.
Do you decode what the listeners decided? Mm. Well, isn't that what we're here? We're to observe and make a report about whether or not preserve the observer's status. Structure without content, structure without content, or accept the weight of knowledge. Can you live with the mysteries? So, as he's saying, don't open the bag. See, I don't think that you need to know. Isn't it just So you really do wonder, don't you? It's sort of like one of those things. It's like, well, what's our prime directive? Our prime directive is to observe, isn't it? So we're supposed to be we're observing. We're only here to observe and provide a report of the observation. It's an interesting dilemma, isn't it? Yeah, I agree with that, Azzy. It's not my business what they decided. We're here to observe, so we're going to preserve being we're observers. The adaptive approach means knowing when to stop adapting.
All right, we have the audio. Future linguists can decode it if they want to carry that weight.
I agree.
Thank you.
Don't thank me. I think you're wrong. But I understand why you're worried.
The listeners began dispersing from the plaza, life resuming but different now.
Think they know how special they are? Or do they just think this is normal?
Probably normal to them. Every species thinks their way is the only way, until they meet someone different.
Same thing happened when we met the entangled. Curious at first, a little nervous, then, yeah, okay, they're all right.
So the thing is that this mission is about observing. This isn't about the first contact.
Here's hoping.
We're not there for first contact. Second day of observation, the vessel has become the crew's philosophical saloon.
Question for the group. If the listeners make all major decisions collectively, who actually leads? Is there even such a thing as leadership in their culture?
Well, isn't it consensus?
Interesting question. They have councils, but those seem facilitative rather than authoritative. The elders don't command. They guide discussions.
Yeah.
Sounds inefficient. In crisis situations, you need someone making fast decisions.
Not the way that they communicate, or not the
Maybe
way
they
I
don't
feel
have
they
crisis
communicate.
situations. Or maybe their version of crisis is different from ours.
Hard to build pyramids when everyone gets a vote on where the next brick goes. If the listeners never needed that kind of coordination.
The data shows they still deal with drought, disease, all of it, but they default to group problem solving instead of looking for a leader.
Different species, different approaches. The Alliance uses chain of command, clear authority, defined roles.
But you adapt to what you need to do to make a decision.
Which is great when everything's on fire and someone needs to yell, "Go left." Less great when you want people to actually think.
That's not what
I'm agreeing with you, mostly.
We've been working together for 3 years. I think we all have a sense of your style, but we've never really talked about it.
This feels like a performance review.
No.
It's a conversation, Kira.
Same difference.
No. The conversation shifts more personal now. They turn to you.
Although this mission's given us some data points. You adapt. Start careful, adjust when needed. Not locked into one approach.
So everything previous to this, for the 3 years, they said they were only doing. This is the first time they've done a civilization. So even though they've been together for 3 years and they know how people work, they're only working on objects and items, not people, not civilization. So it's like hardware and software. So previously they were working on hardware. Now they're going to, after 3 years, they're on software. But that completely changes, what you've been doing for that period of
Flexibility.
time.
That's something. And the resonance gathering. You chose not to decode it. Protect the crew from knowledge that might complicate things.
Yeah.
That's a certain kind of leadership.
She's
So
not
what kind of
happy.
captain are you? The my way or the highway type? The let's all hold hands and vote type?
Jax,
What? We've got data now. Might as well hear it from them directly.
Though sometimes after you've already decided.
How do you lead this crew? I like to, I think after all of it, valuing democratic consensus, valuing everyone's input, decisive command listening, then deciding collaborative delegation, trusting the team's expertise. So it's really hard because I think overall you sort of do a bit of everything. Yeah. So, and I said that earlier. I said that each person had expertise in what they were doing. So you'd want to be trusting that expertise. This resonates. The mission's been about trusting the crew to do their
True.
jobs.
You give us room to work. I appreciate that. This mission's been a good example.
Same. Autonomy is rare and valuable.
No micromanagement. Huge fan.
Oh, she's not
Amara?
having.
delegation works when everyone's competent and aligned, which we are.
You don't seem happy. You guys need smiles.
But it also means problems can develop before anyone notices, because everyone assumes someone else is handling it.
Well, you're all very specific in your
That
roles.
sounds like you have a specific example in mind.
Not specific, just a pattern I've seen. Good commanders delegate. Great commanders know when to step back in. You're good at the first part. The second part, jury's still out.
Amara, we're having a nice conversation.
I'm answering the question honestly. Isn't that what we're doing?
Silence. The crew exchanges glances, not hostile, but not comfortable either.
Well, that got real.
Well, that got real all of a sudden.
Amara started it.
Ah, Jax, you're just a
I answered
kid.
honestly. Would you prefer I lie?
3 years together, 40 missions. The fact that we can have this conversation means something's working.
She's right. Teams that can't criticize each other break down. The listeners could learn from us. Well, eventually. Once they develop space travel and meet us.
Strangely enough, my hydrating has turned from having my coffee and my tea, and now we're on to water. So the listeners, he's saying listeners can learn from us, well, eventually, once they develop space travel and meet us. But I don't know.
Assuming humanity's still around by then.
Dark, Jax.
Realistic. Humanity's good at long-term planning now, but who knows what happens over the next few centuries?
I agree.
Could be utopia, could be collapse, could be something we haven't imagined.
That's why missions like this matter. Every peaceful observation, every successful first contact, every relationship we build, it's all evidence that cooperation works.
She looks around the table with unusual intensity. So the other thing that hasn't been touched on just for this part of moment in the game is that how long does humanity currently live for? Like you wouldn't expect that it's still the 100 years of age. Like how long have they been, what's their lifespan?
We're not just observing the listeners. We're proving that humanity deserves to be here, deserves to meet them someday.
Deserves. See, I mean, you're making a decision. So the thing is, we're observing. But so even though that, so let's say that after our lifespan, because they're talking about centuries later, our lifespan of this crew is not going to be around when when humanity again reviews and makes the decision of making them deserve to meet them someday.
Heavy thoughts for dinner.
Heavy thoughts for dinner. How about we
Welcome
just
to
have some
Deep
water
Space,
and
where
food?
existential philosophy is the main course.
See, a decision that's going to be made in 100 years or 200 years has got nothing to do with this crew. They're not even going to be around, or at least not in these roles. Light laughter, tension breaks.
On that note, who wants dessert? I found a chocolate synthesis program that's actually good.
Oh, chocolate. Let's do that. An evening winds down naturally. Tomorrow brings the final day of observation. Late evening. Oh no. Bridge in night mode. Jack sits alone in the pilot station staring at the view screen. This looks very
Pulling a
green.
late night? Sorry, just thinking. Happens sometimes, despite my best efforts to avoid it. You ever get the feeling you've been somewhere before? Deja vu, but stronger than normal? These star charts, this system, something about it feels
Repeated?
familiar, which is impossible. First time Aurora's been here, first time I've been here. Probably nothing. Big mission, lot of excitement. Brain's just being weird. Maybe I ran something similar in The Sims. Guess this falls under my domain. Pilot stuff. Unexplained gut feelings about star charts.
So you do wonder that the sound that the listeners do, whether or not they can change. You guys are in a sim. Change the way, like your brain patterns.
I'll add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
I can still hear it. That gathering. 100,000 voices finding the same note. I've been to concerts, big ones. But that was something else.
They
A
locked you in
whole
the
city
Matrix.
thinking out loud. And by the
Something.
time they're ready to meet us, centuries from now, we'll all be dust.
Yep.
They'll have no idea 4 people in a little ship once argued about whether to listen in on their town hall.
Exactly.
Makes you think about choices, paths, whether the universe has a plan or we're all just improvising. Sorry, late night philosophy, ignore me. Shift ends in an hour. Should probably grab some sleep before tomorrow's observations. This matters, right? What we're doing out here, it actually means something?
So as he's saying, to make you see and feel things that are not there. Yeah. You tell him it matters. Of course it matters.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling myself. Anyway, thanks for,
Listening.
most commanders don't bother.
Could be a cover. He exits, you're alone. That deja vu, probably nothing. Day 3 morning. Kira's compiler final analysis. The resonance gathering data from day 2 is on the screen.
Commander, Marcus, quick update on the resonance analysis before I finalize.
She pulls up the data
The
visualization.
resonance gathering is still undecoded. I've archived the audio for future linguistic teams.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for archiving it properly, Kira.
That's my job.
Mm-hmm.
There's still value in the acoustic data alone. Frequency ranges, how participation flowed, timing patterns. Even without content, there's structural information there.
So it's not wasted.
I didn't say it was wasted. I said we chose what to know and what to leave alone. The appendices have the full spectral analysis. Whoever comes next will have a head start.
Yep.
Sometimes I wonder what they decided. 100,000 voices all singing together like that.
No, now you've decided?
Wondering is free. The data's archived if the curiosity ever becomes policy.
Mm-hmm. A brief silence, the disagreement. Lives quietly between them, professional but unresolved.
Fair enough. So where are we on the full report? I filed the engineering assessment this morning.
Saw it. Your technology evaluation is solid. Amara's security review came in clean too. I just need to wrap up the cultural analysis and write the science summary. Should be ready before we break orbit.
Need a hand with the synthesis?
I've got it. This is the fun part, actually. Pulling it all together.
No. She's already back at work. Marcus exits quietly, leaving her to her element. You trust your crew's expertise. A quick read through for consistency, then authorization. They know their work better than you do. Later that day, the complete cultural assessment ready.
Commander, I've just finished the cultural assessment report.
She brings up a holographic summary, data visualizations, cultural matrices, projections.
72 hours, good coverage across the major settlements. Starting conservative and opening up when it mattered gave us range. And the conclusion is exactly what we hoped. Socially, they're cooperative, consensus-based. Conflict gets resolved through those communal duets we documented, and violence appears extremely low. I'm qualifying that, obviously. Limited observation window.
She cycles the hologram. The settlement schematic appears overlaid with 3 days of movement data, population flows, resource routes, activity cycles, all around, I guess, the central.
Their technology is solidly Bronze Age, metalworking and organized agriculture with early architectural engineering. No weapon signatures worth noting. What 3 days gave us is the bigger picture. Trade networks between settlements, specialized production, resource sharing, all without currency as far as we can tell. This settlement makes tools that, one, processes grain. The coordination is well beyond what we'd expect at this tech level. And there's seasonal infrastructure, irrigation channels that predate the current generation, road maintenance between settlements that nobody seems to organize centrally. It just happens. Collectively. I'm condensing 3 days of data into highlights here. There's so much more. Agricultural techniques and material science alone could fill a dozen papers. If we were listeners, I could convey all of it in about 10 seconds of singing.
Oh. The hologram shifts, 2 listener figures appear. I noted now acoustic range visualizations, vocal frequency mapping, cranial structures and overlays that weren't in the day 1 scan. Because it looks now like they have 1 arm, like just the 2 instead of 4. I'm not sure what they've...
Which brings me to the part I've been saving. Remember the auditory range I flagged on day 1? We've mapped it fully now. It's broader than I estimated. They're perceiving harmonics in each other's voices that carry emotional metadata we can barely detect with sensors. Most civilizations develop art alongside survival. The listeners didn't separate them. Their art is their survival. Communication and governance, even conflict resolution. All of it runs through music. It's not a category for them. It's how they live.
It's how they communicate.
My recommendation is clear. The listeners are excellent candidates for eventual first contact. The culture is sophisticated. The conflict resolution is unlike anything we've seen, and nothing in our data raises red flags. I'm qualifying the recommendation with based on available evidence. There are gaps in our understanding, by design, but nothing we observed raises concerns. Timeline is harder to pin down. Human history would suggest millennia. But Marcus made a good point on day 1. Their communication compresses the learning curve. We might be overestimating how long they need.
As he's red flagged them. Could be a
Whenever
cover.
they're ready, humanity should be prepared to answer.
Professional pride evident.
They're remarkable. The ways they're different from us, those aren't weaknesses, they're possibilities. If they keep going the way they're going, meeting them someday could change both our species.
Hi, Blue. You've been lurking, signed in to give it a like. Thank you so very much. This is interesting. It is interesting. I do wonder how much of it's there if something else happens, or whether or not it has that level of replayability to see all the more wider options or something. She saves the report.
That's the last section done. Marcus filed engineering this morning. Amara's security review is in. Jax submitted the orbital telemetry logs. Full report's ready for your review, Commander. 3 days back to Kepler. The Admiral will have time to read it properly before the debrief. Solid report, within the parameters we set.
Yep. You take the report to your station. Each section reflects its author's expertise. The conclusions are consistent. The data is sound. You authorize transmission. Bridge, mission complete. Time to go
FTL
home.
drive is recharged. We can jump whenever you're ready, Commander.
Course plotted for Station Kepler. 3-day transit, same as the journey here.
All systems nominal. Ready to depart.
One last look at the view screen. The listeners living their lives unaware they've been deemed worthy.
They'll never know we were here.
as he thought everyone would die. Maybe if we'd chosen all the other options, like the really research ones. Let's, they'll never know that we'll be
Whatever
here.
they decided at that gathering, whatever's next for them, they'll figure it out on their own terms. Goodbye, listeners.
You give the order.
Jump in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
FTL drive engages, reality distorts, the planet disappears. That is weird, isn't it? You can just see it all happening. Day 2, return transit to Station Kepler. Something's happening. Bridge, the Admiral had 2 days with the report. Crew assembled for formal briefing. A chime from the comm station. Incoming transmission.
Aurora, I've reviewed your mission report. Impressive work. Lieutenant Chen, this cultural assessment is excellent. The social structure work is thorough, and that conflict resolution analysis? Some of the best I've seen from a first observation team.
Thank you, Admiral.
You found a good balance out there. Enough data without cutting corners on protocol. That's the kind of judgment call we want to see. The listeners are officially designated as pre-contact observation priority. Each section has a distinct voice. Your crew had real autonomy on this one. Results are strong. Just make sure the left hand knows what the right hand is doing when things get complicated.
The Admiral pauses on a specific section. Her expression shifts. Thoughtful, not critical.
I noticed the resonance gathering audio was preserved but not decoded. That's a judgment call. I won't second guess it, but Xenocultural may want to revisit later.
We had our reasons.
I'm sure you did. The report's strong enough without it.
She looks
Your
up.
findings go to Xenocultural Studies Division. They'll set up long-term remote monitoring. Standard process from here. But before I sign off, any recommendations for follow-up timeline?
She's asking for your professional judgment.
72 hours gave us a strong baseline. More data is always valuable, but
They're not going anywhere. Question is resource allocation.
Xenocultural will have their own priorities, but they're asking what we think.
What follow-up do I recommend? Standard, extended observation, limited window. Priority for exceptional culture. You recommend a follow-up mission. 72 hours is a limited window for a full cultural
You want
assessment.
more data before committing to a timeline. Cautious approach.
Not unreasonable given how little time we had.
we've got a solid baseline. But more is always better.
Noted. I'll include your recommendation in my summary.
She looks at the crew with genuine
Good first
warmth.
contact work. You've given future teams a real foundation to build on.
Thank you, Admiral. The listeners are worth the effort.
I think future teams will agree. You're cleared for approach to Station Kepler. Next assignment will be waiting. For now, mission complete. Well done, Aurora. Aurora, command out.
Hologram dissolves.
We did it.
Mission complete. The Admiral accepted the report as is.
She noted the undecoded audio. Might come back around.
It's archived. They know where to find it.
Exactly. Final evening of return transit. Tomorrow, Station Kepler, tonight celebration. Having a party. Raises the glass.
To the Aurora crew. First ship to observe the listeners. Textbook mission. No disasters. No one almost died. No stories to tell at the bar.
Boring is good. Boring means we did our jobs right.
Boring? We documented an entirely new form of communication, shifted our approach when it mattered. Hardly boring.
Careful when it counted, flexible when it helped.
Glasses clink, the taste of success, however, it was achieved.
Sometimes I wonder what they decided.
Oh,
that
no.
gathering,
Stop it. You're the one who
We could have
said,
found out.
and maybe it's better we didn't.
slight tension that doesn't quite resolve. The question
We recommended
lingers.
extended observation, cautious approach.
More data is always valuable. 72 hours is a limited window.
Means someone else gets to come back here, not a bad legacy.
Marcus keeps changing his mind. He says, wish we knew, but then wish we didn't because I'm glad we don't. Like he's confusing. It's like he wants to know if it's good, but doesn't want to know if it's bad.
The Admiral said we set the standard. Future first contact missions will reference our protocols.
Exactly. You
We're
don't
in
want
the
to
history
stuff on the
books.
first one.
Small footnote, but still.
Thousands of years from now, some student will read about us. The first comprehensive cultural study of the listeners was conducted by the FRV Aurora. We'll be ancient history.
So as he's saying that, Marcus would open the bag, and as he's shaking her head at Marcus.
Strange to think about. The listeners will be spacefaring by then. They might even join the Alliance, and we'll be long gone.
Yeah, we will be long
Was
gone.
telling the commander the same thing the other night.
That's fine. That's what legacy is.
Yes.
You do something that matters, and it outlives you.
Yep.
You know what I hope? When first contact happens, when some future crew meets the listeners, I hope they teach us their music.
Our
Aw.
vocal range can't match theirs. Biologically, we just can't do it.
But technology could bridge the gap. Translators,
Yep.
augmented hearing. We've done harder things.
Humanity singing across the stars. I'd sign up for that.
This is why we do this. Not for the glory. For moments like this one.
3 years together. I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else.
To the Aurora crew, best ship in the Alliance.
Aww. Celebration continues. Story, speculation, comfortable banter. This is what successful crews look like. They did a good job, whatever that was. Late night, your quarters, the mission report is complete, filed, accepted, but you find yourself adding a supplemental entry. Now, as he says, now everyone dies. FRV Aurora, Commander's personal log, mission day 8, supplemental. Mission concluded successfully. Crew performance exemplary. Listeners documented and recommended for first contact candidacy. All Alliance protocols followed. Twice during the mission, Ensign Navarro reported experiencing intense deja vu related to navigation charts for system HX227. The first instance occurred during night watch on day 2. Ensign Navarro described the system as familiar despite no prior visits on record. The second instance occurred this evening. Ensign Navarro was observed rechecking calculations already verified. Hands not steady. Ship's records confirmed Aurora has never visited this sector. Ensign Navarro has no previous assignments in this region. Medical scans showed no anomalies. No explanation has been found. Ensign Navarro has dismissed both episodes as stress-related. I have no evidence to suggest otherwise. End log. You file the supplement, close the terminal. Oops, no evidence otherwise. I got a Steam achievement. Final day of transit. Station Kepler grows larger. Navarro has been taken over. Home headquarters, the place between
Approaching
missions.
Station Kepler. Docking clearance received. ETA 15 minutes.
Systems performed beautifully the whole trip. Not a single hiccup. She earned a rest.
Mission logs transmitted to Alliance Science Division. They've already sent preliminary feedback. Very positive.
All security protocols complete. Ship secured for station approach.
Everyone's doing their job. Station Kepler fills the view screen. Home. Familiar.
3 years, 40 missions, and this one might be the most important.
Definitely the most meaningful, even if it wasn't the most dramatic.
Setting the standard for peaceful observation, not bad for 9 days' work.
Next mission's waiting. Whatever it is, we'll handle it.
Together.
Docking procedures initiated. Welcome home, Aurora.
Everything is perfect. Utopian humanity at its best, ready for whatever comes next. The Aurora Chronicles, Episode 1. First light complete. What does it mean? Briefing response. I got some Steam achievements. How others chose based on 159 players. Professional was 70%. I thought I did thoughtful, so 20%, and 10% were confident. I chose balanced. 154 players. 58% were cautious, 31% was balanced, and 12 was aggressive. I chose observation, the anthropological, based on 142 players. 66% sacred, 22%. I seem to be yellow at the moment. Philosophical is 13%. I chose preserved ignorance. So I chose the most popular one, which was 46%. Full knowledge was 37%. I feel funny that it's in red. No, this one's in blue, and I had all the others were yellow. I chose the 20% one, the lower one. So many people opened up the bag. So follow-up extended. So 46% did extended. Priority was 19 and 35. I do wonder whether the blue, is this like the first question, the second question, the third question? I think that's probably how it goes, wasn't it? Because wasn't priority up the top and I chose the bottom one, which was extending the go back out and do it. So it's first, second, and third. The Aurora Chronicles, can optimization survive the truth? Well, there you go, guys. So the funny thing is, you can play this again and figure out what opening up the bag does. Oh, watch the trailer. Let's watch the trailer.
The outpost is alive. All 200 residents, healthy and accounted for.
That's the problem. If anyone hears this, I'm not asking you to save them. I'm asking you to remember who they were.
What?
Good morning, Aurora. We've picked up a distress beacon from an Alliance outpost. Designation, New Eden. 200 residents. Terraforming outpost on a frontier world. They went silent about 6 months ago.
Someone was worried enough to send a distress signal in secret, but not worried enough to leave.
Or couldn't leave.
Or didn't want to.
Ready to beam down.
Portal down. We haven't beamed anywhere in 100 years.
You know what I meant.
I know you sounded about 100 years old saying it.
I'm sure there's a simple explanation. Have you seen the orchid beds?
Nobody is discontent, Marcus. Not 200 people uniformly with no exceptions.
Oh.
Not quite planetary purge, not quite exterminatus, but not far off either.
Did we save them or abandon them?
This must be their next mission. Play the next episode. There's another episode. A sealed laboratory, a recording no one may ever hear.
New Eden terraforming outpost. Emergency log. The outpost is alive. All 200 residents, healthy and accounted for.
So that was a thing for the next episode?
That's the problem. I watched them change. One by one.
Ooh.
They're happy. All of them. And I can't make anyone understand why that terrifies me.
Oh, sorry, everybody. So Pepper went out there and started barking at whatever was out there. Goodness knows. All right. They're happy, all of them, and I can't make anyone understand why that terrifies
I
me.
sealed myself inside when I realized I was the only one who noticed.
Oh no.
6 months. The comm array works, but nobody uses it.
Wow. 6 months.
I hardwired the lab terminal to the emergency beacon, bypassed the main array entirely. I don't know if the signal reached anyone.
I don't know if anyone is coming.
Oh no. She stops, looks at the camera.
If anyone hears this, I'm not asking you to save them. I'm asking you to remember who they were.
Oh. The recording ends. The silence holds. Episode 2, The Garden. FRV Aurora, bridge your crew at stations. The holographic projector flickers to life. Admiral Carter.
Good morning, Aurora. We've picked up a distress beacon from an Alliance outpost. Designation, New Eden.
The view screen shifts. A planet, patches of green against bare Earth, still being shaped.
200 residents. Terraforming outpost on a frontier world. They went silent about 6 months ago. Administrator Henrik Voss is your point of contact on the ground.
Okay,
6 months is a long gap before detection.
it is.
New Eden's automated reports never flagged anything. Life support nominal, population stable, terraforming output on schedule.
Automated reports. So do you mean that if there was no no people there, that automated reports would still go, and if the systems were still running? Well, population stable would be an interesting one.
70 years in, the atmospheric processors run themselves.
Yep,
The reports tell you the machines are working. They don't tell you much about the people.
that's the question.
If someone had called, a resident would have picked up and told them everything was fine, and they would have believed it.
Very true.
The beacon is automated. Someone on the ground bypassed the main comm array and patched directly into the emergency beacon infrastructure. That tells us whoever sent it either couldn't or wouldn't use standard comms.
Mm-hmm.
Comms are functional, but someone went around them. That's not a malfunction. That's someone who didn't want the residents to know they were calling for help.
Mm-hmm.
That's one interpretation. The other is that someone couldn't reach the array. Equipment access, injury, could be any number of things.
Either way, everything reads normal from the outside. But someone on the ground was desperate enough to bypass standard comms for a distress beacon. Those two things don't add up.
Which is why we're sending you. Standard rescue assessment. Get in, determine what happened, evaluate the population, report back. If the situation calls for a relief team, we'll mobilize from Kepler, but that's weeks out at FTL. Aurora's the closest ship. You're 2 days away. Could be any number of things. Situations like this usually have a mundane explanation.
Usually.
Usually. He's so colourful, isn't he?
Usually. Standard protocols apply. You have full discretion on approach.
Standard protocols.
I'll expect your full incident report on return. Aurora, command out.
The hologram dissolves.
200 people, all alive and healthy, and someone among them felt the need to call for help without telling anyone.
That's not a systems problem, that's a people problem.
Mm-hmm.
And now, someone on the ground is sending a distress signal that nobody else down there seems to know about.
Someone was worried enough to send a distress signal in secret, but not worried enough to leave.
Maybe they can't leave.
Or couldn't leave.
Or didn't want to.
That sits there for a moment.
Time to go see for ourselves.
Course plotted for New Eden. 2 days at FTL.
Here we go. The FTL drive charge reaches full charge. Reality bends. The ship vanishes. Just like that. 2 days later. Orbit above New Eden.
Orbital scans complete. All 200 residents reading as alive and healthy. No structural damage.
No weapon signatures. No signs of conflict.
Power grid stable, water treatment online, terraforming systems running normally.
Everything is working perfectly. On an outpost that's been silent for 6 months.
Portal room. Gear checked. Ready to go. On site.
Portal coordinates locked. Putting you down near the central hub.
Thanks, Jax. You give the order.
Ready to beam down.
Ready to beam down.
Portal down. We haven't beamed anywhere in 100 years.
You know what I meant.
I know you sounded about 100 years old saying it.
The portal shimmers open. You step through. New Eden. The gardens are the first thing you see. It is very pretty. Cultivated plants stretching in every direction. Clean paths between rows. Structures with fresh paint. Everything in perfect order.
The biodiversity here is remarkable. These are species from at least 4 different biomes growing in coordinated beds.
Beautiful spot. I'll give them that.
Stay sharp. We don't know why we're here yet.
Residents notice your arrival. A few glance up, then look away. Nobody comes to ask who you are. Mira steps towards a man tending the nearest garden
Excuse
bed.
me. Lieutenant Okafor, Alliance Security. We're responding to a distress beacon from this outpost. Can you direct
Why
us
would
to
you tell them
Administrator
that?
Voss?
The away team is here. But the funny thing is, I wouldn't have said we're responding to a distress beacon from this outpost. I wouldn't be telling anybody that. I'd be just saying, where's, direct me to Administrator Voss. I wouldn't be telling them anything.
Oh, he's in the gardens. He's usually in the gardens.
Do you know anything about a distress signal?
That's wrong. Why would you discuss
signal?
it with
No,
anybody?
I don't think so. Everything's fine here.
Just a resident. The resident wanders away, still smiling. You walk deeper into the outpost, past a maintenance workshop. Tools, racks, surfaces clean, nothing out of place, nothing in progress.
That workshop hasn't been used in weeks, maybe longer. There's no active work anywhere.
There's no active work anywhere. A woman passes you on the path. She nods pleasantly.
Ma'am, when was the last time you contacted anyone off-world?
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 Oh, I'm not sure. A while, I suppose. We haven't needed anything.
Everything is awesome. Everything is fine.
Nothing at all? No supplies? No news from home?
We're fine. Everything we need is right here.
Except for people. She drifts towards the gardens. No urgency, no curiosity about who you
Too
are.
clean. Too quiet for 200 people.
Maybe they're just really good at gardening.
Nobody laughs. It's not that kind of place anymore. You scan the faces around you. Every smile carries the same quality, the same warmth, the same ease. You note the pattern. Not a single person looks tired, stressed, or curious about your presence. Another resident smiles at you as she passes. The same smile, the same warmth. I feel very freaked out. Can we leave already? You find yourself. Not real. Watching carefully, returning their smiles, cataloguing details. I'm cataloguing. You catalog details, infrastructure maintained, population healthy, behavior, uniform.
Preliminary assessment matches orbital data, all indicators nominal. No obvious explanation for the communication blackout.
Nominal is a strange word for a community that triggered an automated distress beacon.
But the community didn't trigger it. Somebody triggered it, not the community.
The gap between what the data says and what my gut says is getting wider by the minute.
You're all about to be assimilated into the Matrix. I think Azzy might be watching that soon. We need to get some more Matrix out. The gardens stretch ahead, beautiful, fragrant, wrong in a way none of you can name yet. Ah, the common area, open, airy. Residents drifting through their day.
I'll keep the lights on up here. Orbital scans and portal link.
You assign the crew standard coverage. Amira on interviews, Kira on environmental scans, Marcus on infrastructure.
Reconvene in 90 minutes with findings.
You accompany Amara through the common area. Residents drift past, pleasant, unhurried. You gesture towards a man tending a flower bed. Amira nods.
Sir, Lieutenant Okafor, Alliance Security. When did you last contact anyone off-world?
Off-world? Oh, a while. We don't really need anything.
Nothing at all? Supplies, parts, news from home?
Everything we need is right here. Would you like to see the orchid beds?
He walks away, still smiling.
That's the third one. Same tone, same deflection. They're not hiding anything. They just don't care about anything beyond these gardens.
Could be a tight-knit community. Frontier outposts get insular.
Insular, sure, but nobody even asked why we're here.
Near the central hall, a man sits on a low wall, calm, well-groomed. He watches you approach without hurry.
That's Administrator Voss. Administrator Voss, Lieutenant Okafor, Alliance Security. We're here about the distress beacon.
Yes, I heard you'd arrived. Welcome. It's a good day for a visit.
No.
Do you know who filed it?
I don't. No. Things have been running so smoothly here. I'm not sure what prompted it.
6 months without a single outbound contact. No reports filed. No supply requests. Does that concern you?
We have everything we need here. I suppose there hasn't been much to report.
Wow. He smiles, not at you, at the garden beyond your shoulder.
We were lucky to find this place. I don't say that lightly.
Thank you for your time.
Commander, I need you in the fields. All of you.
Amara is already moving. The greenhouse, cultivated rows in every direction, pollen visible in the light.
These pollen concentrations are 40 times baseline. That alone isn't alarming for an enclosed cultivation space.
I think we might needed to have used masks.
But
The compounds are psychoactive, specifically targeted at the amygdala and prefrontal cortex.
Uh-oh.
plants don't do that.
This one does. The spores suppress fear and anxiety, ambition, the full neurochemical profile of conflict. Serotonin and oxytocin production go up significantly.
Uh-oh.
So they're drugged.
They're all drugged.
That's the logical conclusion. It's not quite accurate. Standard psychoactives impose an artificial state. These do the opposite. They remove fear, remove anxiety. What's left is real. The residents are authentically happy. The spores just cleared the way for it.
Uh-oh. The greenhouse is quiet. Nobody speaks. Kira watches you for a reaction. Nod, look. I don't know. What did she say before? She said that it's real. You turn towards the gardens. A woman kneels in the soil, hands steady, face calm. She hasn't looked up once.
That's worse.
That's what I thought.
They seem happy. We seem disturbed. I just want to name that those might not be the same problem. Before we start fixing things, we should know which one we're treating.
Masks on, now.
Masks on, now? She pulls her respirator out from her kit. The others follow.
Full saturation takes approximately 2 weeks of continuous exposure. We've been out here about an hour. We're fine. I intend for us to stay that way.
Cool. 2 weeks it takes for full infection, Azzy. Masks can feeds flicker on across Jax's comms panel.
Wow, you all look terrifying.
Nice.
If I lived here and 3 people showed up dressed like that, I'd be running the other direction.
Yeah, but you've got no
Noted.
fear. Noted.
Nobody out there is looking at us.
6 months of silence. Kira just said the spores suppress ambition. Nobody here wanted to call out. Nobody here wanted...
He doesn't finish the sentence.
How far has it spread?
This is a terraforming research station. Growing things is the entire mission. The species is in every cultivated bed I've scanned.
Oh. A species of plant. Kira still hasn't put her scanner down.
So where did it come from?
We brought it here. It was introduced as part of the terraforming protocol. Good root structure accelerates soil development on barren worlds. Standard practice.
So it's in every bed, every garden.
We planted it everywhere. 70 years of terraforming gradually shifted the soil composition toward Earth normal. About 8 months ago, the chemistry crossed a threshold. The plant produced a compound it never had before.
Oh.
Not defensive, not predatory, just biology responding to conditions that didn't exist until this year. Nobody could have predicted it.
We built the garden. The garden did the rest.
Not deliberately. The interaction is too specific for standard surveys to catch.
Someone should have caught this in the first year.
The onset is gradual. 2 weeks for full saturation, but the early stages feel like settling in. Less friction, better sleep. Nobody reports feeling good.
Yeah.
I'm noting that nobody flagged it.
The data would read as a community finding its footing.
Yeah, because the longer you're there, the more comfortable you get with your environment. The mirror doesn't argue. She doesn't agree
The
either.
Greeks had a story about this. People eating flowers and forgetting they ever wanted to go home.
Oh.
Guess some stories are just true.
Yeah, except these people are home.
Nobody has anything to say to
Don't
that.
you have something better to do up there?
I'm monitoring comms. It's literally my job.
I agree.
Your job is orbital scans and portal link.
Lotus flower. Your job is orbital scans.
Comms is also a link. I'm being thorough.
And being thorough. What does it matter, Marcus?
The root system has reached the water table. The spores are cycling through every structure's ventilation.
Oh.
So it's in the air they breathe.
Every breath, every room, the contamination runs all the way down.
Nobody says the obvious thing. They don't need to.
We need answers. Every angle.
Who do you trust to make the call? Focusing. Ah, oh dear.
We don't fully understand the mechanism yet. If we go deeper without knowing the contamination scope, we're making decisions with incomplete data.
And if someone's running out of time in that lab?
Then we move faster.
Yep. Kira sweeps the greenhouse perimeter. Her scanner moves in steady arcs.
Root density across the soil bed is total. I'm not finding any unaffected areas.
Water supply?
Drinking water is replicator sourced, clean. But atmospheric processing pulls from the same soil cycle. Everything that contacts the ground is involved.
Oh no.
You can't clear the surface growth and call it done. The plant regrows from below. The contamination runs all the way through.
Oh
The outpost
no.
is the plan now.
The outpost is a plant.
So there's no clean way to fix this without taking the whole thing apart.
There is not.
Oh no.
I was hoping for a different answer.
Weren't we all? The garden beds stretch in every direction. Nothing about them looks wrong. The woman with the seedling trays sees them and walks over. She holds the tray out towards
Take some.
Kira.
They do well almost anywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kira takes the tray. The woman smiles and walks back to her bed. She doesn't look back.
Full respirators, scanning equipment. She didn't even blink.
Kira holds a tray for a moment, then sets it down on the path.
There was nobody behind that.
I know.
We need to find whoever sent that beacon. They've been living inside this for 6 months. Whatever I've confirmed in the last hour, they've been observing it directly.
Then we go find them.
We gotta go find them. Research block, old wing, both doors sealed, the outer the chamber and the inner lab beyond it.
Lieutenant Marcus Rivera, FRV Aurora. We picked up your distress beacon. We're not here to force anything. Take as long as you need.
Silence in the outer door clicks open. Inside the antechamber, at the far end, the inner lab door, the camera, panel, and intercom. Someone is watching from inside.
Respirators. You know about the spores.
There she is.
We ran environmental scans on the surface. Lieutenant Okafor, Chief Security, our commander, Lieutenant Chen, and Lieutenant Rivera.
Novak. Dr. Sarah Novak. Exoecologist. I didn't think the signal reached anyone.
It reached us.
6 months. I pause, then Kira quietly.
You know, once that door opens, the room is contaminated.
Yes. I won't need it anymore.
The door opens. She has gaunt, sharp eyes. She looks at you like she's checking if you're real. The lab is small and closed. Everything cleared to make room for 6 months. For 6 months for
2 weeks
one
for
person.
full saturation. Early stages feel like settling in. Better sleep, less friction. Nobody reports feeling wrong. I was already spending most of my time in the lab. Limited exposure. I noticed the changes in them before I felt anything. Sealed myself in at week 1. I've been in here for 6 months.
No. Mira holds out a spare earpiece.
Our pilot's in orbit. This keeps you on the channel.
6 months is a long time to keep yourself going in here.
Lab replicator. Not designed for continuous use at this scale. I've been careful with it.
Have you had contact with anyone? Someone coming to the door?
Liam came to the viewport the first few weeks. Talked to me through the glass. He didn't understand why I wouldn't come out. He stopped coming in month 2.
No.
The comm array. Why not use it directly?
This door hasn't opened once in 6 months. The moment it does, spores flood in. Everything I've kept clean is gone. I can't reseal clean air back in.
True.
The lab has a decon chamber. But decon is calibrated for known contaminants, validated protocols for hazards the lab was built to handle. I identified this spore interaction myself. There's no validated protocol for it.
Yeah, so she's got sort of like two voices.
If the cycle didn't fully neutralize this specific compound, and I walked back in thinking I was clean, the room was compromised. I wasn't willing to gamble my cognition on an untested procedure.
True.
The beacon I could rig through internal systems. No door, no risk.
Mm-hmm.
So you went around the system.
I'm not an engineer. I had the outpost's technical database and 6 months. I don't know if it was clean work.
It reached us.
I set it broadcasting and left it running. If someone picked it up, they'd come.
She stops. For the first time since she opened the door, she isn't rushing.
I have a treatment.
Nobody expected that.
I synthesized it in the first 8 weeks. The spore mechanism isn't complicated once you isolate it. The treatment counteracts the neurochemical suppression. It works. I tested it.
On yourself?
On Liam. Liam Osse. 4 years together. He was the only other person on this outpost who knew what I was actually working on. I called to him through the viewport. Said I needed him.
Oh, no.
He came. He didn't understand why, but he came. There's a gap in the seal port, wide enough for an injector. I talked him through holding still. He didn't know what I was doing.
Oh,
The
no.
synthesis wasn't complete yet. I had the core mechanism. I didn't have time to be careful about it.
Why not bring him inside? Run him through decon first.
Same problem. Decon scrubs the person, not the chamber air. The second I open my inner door, the lab is gone.
I
The seal
agree.
port was the only way I could reach him without breaching the room. It worked.
How long did it hold?
1 hour.
Oh, no.
I watched him wake up. He looked at me and his face changed. He asked what happened to everyone. He was terrified. He'd been standing at that viewport every day, and it had felt completely fine. And now, it didn't. He kept asking me how long he'd been like that. And then, it stopped mattering to him. Again. Right in front of me.
She goes still, the word stop.
He put his hand on the viewport. Smiled. Went back to the orchids. Resaturation takes a few hours without treatment. Short exposure clears naturally off-planet. Hours, not months. Your crew is fine. Months is different. Months of exposure does structural damage. The pathways that went quiet, they don't just go quiet. They atrophy. The treatment can wake someone up. It can't rebuild what's already gone.
Oh, no.
It does not restore emotional memory. Who they cared about, what any of it meant. That's structural. Gone. Liam could leave today. Stay clean the rest of his life. He wouldn't come back. Not fully.
She says it like she's been saying it to herself for months, because she has.
The cure makes them aware of what they've lost, without the emotional memories that made those things worth having. The problem was never the science. I already solved the science.
The problem is that nobody wants to go.
They don't want anything that isn't already here. That's specifically what the spores remove. The capacity to want things that are elsewhere.
So how do you get someone to leave when leaving is exactly what they can't want?
That's the question I've had 6 months to sit with.
Off-world, away from exposure, the treatment holds?
It holds. they'd be lucid, functional enough to decide for themselves. Just not whole. You just have to get them on your ship first.
What about children?
There are 34 children in the outpost, all under 15, all affected. Adults lose what they had. Children lose what they were supposed to develop. 6 months without fear, without ambition. During the years those pathways form, that's not the same damage. The youngest ones have no baseline. They never built those connections in the first place.
That sits in the room. Nobody has a quick answer for
I have
it.
a full research log. 6 months of behavioral observation, atmospheric readings, treatment data. Everything I know is documented.
We'll want it.
I know.
The sealed lab, the shelf of treatments, the woman who has been the only witness.
Are you going to try to help them?
You look at your crew, nobody answers for you. Oh. Outside, the gardens stretch in every direction. Perfect rows, warm light.
Wait.
She holds out a case from the lab, 4 prepared injectors.
Prophylactic dose. Same compound, refined formula. It won't protect someone who's already saturated, but for short-term exposure, it blocks uptake entirely.
If you had this, why not dose yourself and walk out to the comm array?
Because if it failed, there'd be nobody left who knew anything was wrong. And I had no timeline. Could have been months before anyone came. That wasn't a risk I could take alone.
There are 4 of us and a ship in orbit, and we only need a few hours.
Yes, that's why I'm offering.
Give me the molecular breakdown.
Kira studies her scanner for a long time, then nods.
Receptor binding is specific. Competitive inhibition. No secondary interactions I can flag. Single dose should hold well beyond our mission window. We can lose the respirators.
Sarah administers the injectors one by one. A brief pressure against the neck, then nothing. The masks come off, the dome air hits you again. Warm soil and something faintly sweet. It smelled the same an hour ago. You just didn't know what it meant.
I forgot how big it is out here.
200 people, cognitively altered without their knowledge.
I wouldn't want to take the respirator off.
We call Kepler. We get transports. That's what we do.
They're not in danger, Amara. By every clinical measure, they're healthier than the baseline population. The spores didn't impose a state. They removed negative affect. What's left is genuine. That's not a disease.
Their cognition was altered without consent.
Yes, and I don't know what that means under Alliance medical protocol. It isn't a clean case.
I've been watching them from up here all morning. They look genuinely fine. They came to a frontier planet and planted gardens. The gardens changed them. Is that really different from moving somewhere that makes you happy?
Yes, it's different. They've lost the capacity to want to leave. The spores didn't just make them happy here. They removed the ability to want something that isn't already here. They're not choosing this every morning. They're incapable of choosing otherwise. That's not a life. That's a locked door they can't feel the weight of.
There's something else we need to be clear about. The neural atrophy isn't reversible. If we treat someone and take them off-world tomorrow, they'll be lucid. They'll have their memories. They won't have what those memories felt like. We're giving them full awareness that those lives are gone.
She doesn't have the next sentence ready. For the first time today, she let silence stand in for it.
We'd be rescuing them from a paradise and handing them a grief they can't remember their way out of?
Yes.
And if we leave them?
The atrophy continues. The longer they stay, the less is recoverable.
It's something, Azzy. It's something. Both paths cost something that stands without resolution.
34 children, all under 15. Adults had a self before this. They had a baseline the treatment can reach back toward. Children under 15 have been in this during the years those pathways form. There's no baseline to restore them to. They're still becoming people. That isn't a choice anyone made for them. When I was that age...
She doesn't finish it. She doesn't need to.
The Caldwell principles are clear on this. The framework was written after the AI crisis to address exactly this kind of situation. External alteration of cognition without consent constitutes harm, regardless of outcome, regardless of intent.
The adults are willing to stay. Does that count?
But they haven't chosen
No.
it.
Consent obtained after modification has already begun isn't valid. Their willingness to stay emerged from the very change in question.
Willingness to stay emerged.
Which one is the real them? The person before or the person now? The principles don't resolve that. They just name why it's a problem.
I don't have a clean answer for the adults.
Neither do I.
I've had 6 months to look for one.
Uses a lot of brain, Lyra. It's dilemma. Philosophy test.
There isn't one.
As he said.
We should say the practical thing out loud. Aurora is a crew vessel. 200 people don't fit on it under any configuration.
Kepler Station is 2 to 3 weeks out for transport ships at FTL. Probably longer if they're not pre-positioned.
So whatever we decide, it doesn't happen today.
No.
And every day we wait, the atrophy clock keeps running on those kids.
200 people in the gardens, happy, unreachable, waiting for nothing. The commander has to decide. You've heard it all. There's no answer that doesn't cost something. Who do you trust to make this call? Really? I've actually got to put the trust into somebody else to make the call. Well, I do trust Kira more than... She's the one who's studying all of this.
They're not asking to leave, and we can't know whether a lucid version of them would choose differently. The modification happened. We can't undo it. Overriding what they're expressing now requires certainty we don't have.
And the children?
The children complicate it, but I'm not prepared to base a forced evacuation on that complication alone.
Sarah says nothing. She already knew that you'd have she already knew what you'd have to choose between. She's been waiting 6 months to not be the only one who had to carry it. Ah, poor Sarah. The lab is quiet. Your crew has gone to do what you decided. Sarah is archiving her research logs. She works through them in date order, 6 months accounted for. You watch her work, every entry dated, nothing
Even
skipped.
before any of this. When I have something in front of me, I don't come up for air until I've seen the end of it. Liam used to say I'd forget the station existed. He was the opposite. Always in the corridors, always talking to someone. If there was an argument happening anywhere on this outpost, he'd find it. So when the spores started changing people, I was already in here most of the time. Barely noticed the first week. You noticed me before I noticed them.
Hi, Neon. Hi, Reese Rose. Hello, hello.
Liam had better data habits than I did. Always. His methodology reports read like essays. Mine read like reports. He said that was a character flaw. I said the data was the point. We had that argument for 4 years.
Oh, poor Sarah.
He'd argue anything. Hand him a claim and he'd find the counterpoint in 30 seconds and hold it for 2 hours. That used to frustrate me. I didn't understand it was the point. The first sign wasn't that he agreed with me. He stopped having a position. I made a claim about nitrogen retention, something he'd pushed back on before. He nodded, said it sounded reasonable. I went back to work. Thought he was tired. He was tired a lot after that. That's what I told myself.
She closes the file. Her hands stay on the drive for a moment before she continues.
When I gave him the treatment, I didn't tell him what it was. I said I needed him to hold still.
She's saying it again. You let her.
6 weeks in. He held still when I asked. For almost an hour, I thought the dosage was wrong. Then he looked at me. He said, "How long was I gone?" Not what happened. Not what I'd done to him. He already understood all of it, just how long. His eyes were... He was terrified. Like he'd been standing in a room for 6 weeks and only just noticed it was on fire. About 40 minutes after that, his face changed. He looked out at the gardens. His shoulders went down. He put his hand on the glass and smiled. He asked if I was doing all right. I said yes.
Oh, she needs a hug, all right, Reese. You stay still. There's nothing useful to say.
He doesn't come to the viewport anymore. Stopped in month 2.
She's been here alone for 6 months with 200 people outside, infected by spores.
I think it's easier for him. He doesn't remember the hour. The arguments stopping was the first sign. Then the projects. People who'd been driving towards something for years just stopped driving.
Yeah, but Azzy, in Serenity, they just didn't get back up. They just laid down.
Then the questions. Nobody asked anything anymore. Not about the work, not about home. I watched 200 people settle into happiness, day by day, one by one. And I was the only one keeping count.
Sarah packs her research archive. Every drive labelled in order. 6 months of documentation. You move towards the door.
Right. I've had this planned. Every step. I knew what I'd do when someone finally came.
She picks up the archive case, sets it down, doesn't move towards the door.
I just need a minute. 6 months. I kept telling myself, when they come, you walk out. You don't look back. You go.
Yeah. Does she not want to go?
I practiced it. In my head. 100 times.
Come on, Sarah, do it. She turns to the viewport. The gardens are exactly what they've always been.
That's Priya. Cultivation systems. She never smiled. Not once in 4 years. Said she'd smile when the yields were right. She smiles every day now. Every single day. I'm the only one who knows what she was like before. The only one who remembers what that frown actually meant.
Yeah, but if you don't leave, you're going to forget. You listen after 6 months of silence. Someone should.
I've been alone for 6 months, watching everyone I love living in paradise. And I can't join them. Not because I'm imprisoned, because I remember who they used to be.
You're the only one who does. Her hand finds the viewport glass. It stays there.
I remember their dreams. I remember their arguments. I remember when they were alive. And I'm the only one left who does.
She doesn't collapse. She stands very still, with her hand on the glass.
The moment I walk out that door with you, I stop being the person who knew them. Not the last guardian, just someone who once knew them. I've been holding that for 6 months. I didn't understand how heavy it was until you showed up to take it.
She's at the viewport, not asking for anything, just saying it out loud for the first time. You look at Sarah. Promise action. Ask what she needs. You ask her what she needs from you. The question reaches her. She closes her eyes. When she opens them, the answer is already there.
I need to know someone else will carry this. Who they were. What they lost.
I can't be the only one who remembers.
She has the archive in her hands. She hasn't moved towards the door.
Around month 3, I stood at the door for an hour, hand on the seal release, thinking about how simple it would be to just walk out. Let the garden have me. None of them chose this. By the time anyone could have noticed, it was already done. But if I opened that door, nobody remembers. Not them, not me.
Open it. I'm ready.
She picks up the archive case. She walks towards the door without stopping. She doesn't look back. They have no ambition anymore, Reese. They are just happy. No ambition to do anything. There's 34 children and 170 adults. They didn't even care that somebody arrived. They didn't care about the questions. No sense of self, no emotion. They're just happy and smile and do nothing. And it's to do with the garden spores. Not real zombies. The morning after the outpost is the same. That's the problem.
Documentation complete. I've uploaded the atmosphere scans and behavioral logs, along with Sarah's archive. The Alliance has everything it needs.
Ready whenever you give the word.
I keep expecting someone to stop us. Ask us to do more.
Or even ask
They
us
can't
what we're
want that.
doing there.
That's the whole problem.
They just don't want anything. They don't want to talk to. They've been here for over a year, and for the last 6 months, they've not even spoken to their families around the, cosmos. Haven't wanted to. They've got everything they need. That's all they keep saying. We don't need anything. We have everything we need here. Oh, Granny Does Games, thank you very much for hanging out and lurking and listening. Thank you so very much. Sarah hasn't said much this morning. She stood at the common area edge and watched Priya water the orchid beds, then came back without explanation. Voss is in the garden. He's attending a row of flowering plants near the eastern path. He doesn't look up until Amara is
Lieutenant,
close.
good morning.
Administrator Voss, I wanted to speak with you before we proceed.
Of course.
He sets down his tool, turns to face her with the patience of someone who has nowhere else to be.
I want to give you the chance to say anything you feel should be on the record before we continue.
That's very considerate. I understand why Sarah reached out. I don't hold it against her. She's been afraid for a long time. When she first transferred here, I walked her through the greenhouses myself. After she sealed the lab, I went to the viewport twice. After that, it seemed kinder not to.
Afraid of what?
Of this. What we have here made her afraid rather than at peace. I've never fully understood why.
You know about the spores.
The psychoactive compounds? Yes, I've known for some time.
Behind you, Sarah goes still.
He knew.
He knew.
I thought I was the only one counting. He watched the same thing I did, and decided it was fine.
She doesn't say anything else. Amara continues.
Of course, I'm the administrator. Understanding our ecosystem is my responsibility.
You knew what the spores were doing to people and didn't report it.
Report what? That our community is happy. That people sleep well and don't argue, and have more patience for each other than any outpost I've known. I decided we were experiencing something worth examining carefully before introducing external intervention.
But you could never leave. And if you did and got treatment, you have no emotion attached to your memories.
200 people have been cognitively altered without their knowledge or consent.
They have been affected by their environment, as every person is everywhere they live.
Some may be Azzy, I'm not really sure. Depends, I guess, where they got the voices from.
The soil on Earth affects the
Crimes.
biochemistry of everyone who eats food grown in it. The altitude on Mars changes blood oxygen profiles permanently. We don't call those people altered. We call them adapted.
He's very much an administrator.
The magnitude of the change is not comparable.
No, ours is more legible. That's the only difference.
You might see whether or not they've got a list of actors' names and stuff somewhere.
You signed a residency charter when this outpost was established.
I did. I wrote most of it, actually.
That charter includes mandatory reporting of significant environmental changes affecting population cognition, and an emergency intervention clause that gives Alliance crews standing to act when those obligations aren't met.
I'm aware of what we signed.
Then you know the Caldwell Principles define uninformed cognitive alteration as harm, regardless of outcome. Your outpost is in legal gray territory.
I don't dispute your standing. I'm not asking you to leave. The charter was written by people who assumed cognitive change meant suffering. That altered cognition was, by definition, damage. It doesn't anticipate a situation where the change produces something other than damage. I'm not resisting you. I'm asking whether you've looked carefully at what you're proposing to undo. You're describing our happiness as a disease. But from where I stand, you're describing the human condition without suffering.
They've taken their choice away. They're making others suffer.
Is that really something to cure?
You've lost ambition, the capacity for growth, for wanting anything beyond what you already have.
So the people that are family related to these 200 people that are here would be affected by loss and grief, because they may as well go, well, they don't know us anymore, or they don't have any memories of us. They don't think that they care. It's there's a lot of suffering going on because they can't remember. They've got no emotions attached to their memories anymore.
You say that as if those are losses. Ambition produces suffering. The need to want things you don't have produces pain in proportion to the wanting. We have what comes after all of that. Tell me, Lieutenant, what you're proposing to give back. The anxiety, the sleepless wanting for things just out of reach. Is that a life, or is it the human condition as it was before we found something better?
Amara opens her mouth, closes it. Every answer she has sounds like a defense of suffering. She knows
the children didn't choose this.
There's 34 children here under 15.
Children never choose anything about their early development. That's why we have parents. Our children are happy, present. They're not afraid. They don't lie awake wanting things they've never seen.
They also can't imagine leaving.
Neither can I.
He says it as a feature, not a flaw.
I don't have an answer for that. I just think we shouldn't move past it too quickly.
I want to be direct about one clinical detail.
Please.
The neural pathway changes are structural. Treatment can restore lucidity and agency. It cannot restore what people felt about the things and people they cared about. That's gone.
I understand.
What we're offering isn't the life you had. It's something smaller, with full awareness of the reduction.
I know who I was before. Ambitious, frustrated, worried constantly about things that didn't improve because of the worrying. I don't miss it.
The children don't have a before. They never built those connections.
No, They received the life their parents and community could give them, as children always do.
With a compound they didn't consent to.
Yes, that part is harder to argue.
He said it plainly. He's not defensive. That's the worst of it. You look at the garden, at Priya, at all the people who used to argue about things that mattered to them.
You're going.
We're extracting Dr. Novak, filing a full report. There are still decisions to make.
Thank you for listening, Lieutenant. I mean that.
I don't have a good answer for you.
You don't need one. We're fine here.
You just can't add anybody to this environment. So after what, 100 years, even the kids when they've grown up and they perish, then you wouldn't put anybody else back here. He turns back towards the gardens. He doesn't watch you leave.
I've been listening from up here. He sounded completely coherent the whole time.
I know.
That's not what I was expecting.
Neither was I.
I kept waiting for him to say something obviously wrong.
Oh, the kids. Oh, why did we have to see the children? School area, bright walls, organised table, children at lessons in a small groups outside. 34 children, every one of them under 15. Everybody is fighting. Nobody is fighting over a toy. Nobody is crying from a scraped knee. Nobody is screaming in excitement. The playground is quiet. In a way, playgrounds are never quiet.
All 34 scan clean. No distress markers.
I know.
These children are staying. That was decided. The boy near the door is sitting on a table. There's nothing in front of him. He's been sitting there since they arrived.
How long before the neural changes are irreversible? In children that age.
Sarah's figures are projections. There's no baseline study for this specific exposure profile.
So we don't know.
We don't know.
The boy looks out the window, smiles at nothing in particular.
Is that enough? Not knowing?
Kira doesn't answer. That isn't a good answer. A group of children is sitting near the outer wall together, but not interacting. Nobody is talking. Nobody has thought of something to do.
I keep expecting one of them to cry.
Me too. That's the part I can't reconcile. Not that they're unhappy.
Just that they're sitting there.
That they're not.
We should go. They leave. They don't look back. Outside the garden is exactly what it has always been. Your crew is together again. Sarah waits near the portal.
One thing still needs a decision. The plant.
Hold on. Should we be the ones making this call? We've been on the ground 2 days. This is a 70-year ecosystem. Does this go to command or is it ours?
Our mandate is to assess and recommend. Command reviews and authorizes. We're not deciding the outcome. We're stating what we think should happen.
But that's still an outcome. What we think we should happen. No, wouldn't you just provide facts to command? You're not deciding the outcome. You are actually providing your personal decision, which command will either agree or disagree with, which is you deciding the outcome. We're not deciding the outcome, but if you put a conclusion in, you are.
Okay, as long as that's what this is.
I can present the options. What we recommend is your call. Option 1, targeted bioremediation. Engineered agents designed for this specific species. It works. But the environment becomes temporarily uninhabitable. Everyone leaves first, no exceptions. Aftermath is soil degradation and water table disruption from the breakdown compounds. The terraforming capacity here is gutted. New Eden doesn't come back as a research station, not for years. Option 2, quarantine. Navigation hazard designation. No ships in or out. The plant stays. Residents stay or go based on what we've already decided. Nobody new gets exposed. Option 3, recommend a formal research designation. We take what I've collected, file it as a controlled compound of medical interest. The Alliance establishes a science team to study it properly. The suppression mechanism has documented potential for anxiety disorders and trauma recovery. The question is whether anyone can isolate the benefit from the harm. The risk is what happens once this is in the system. I can't control who picks it up or what they do with it.
Sounds risky, doesn't it?
I spent 4 months on option 3, trying to find a version of the compound that separates the suppression mechanism from the neurological binding. I couldn't. The medical application and the harm are the same thing. You can't have one without the other. I don't know if that changes anything. I just thought you should know.
So you can't have one without the other. The garden waits, beautiful, indifferent. Look at your crew, 3 pass, none of them clean. Who do you try? Oh, man. See, I don't get an option of making a choice as to what the option is. I'm asking my crew member to make the call. And Kira is the only person. Well, I've got Sarah now. Do I ask Sarah what her... She's the one who's been here.
You should know who you're handing this to. Liam is out there. Priya. 200 people I came here with. I can't be neutral about what happens to this compound, and I won't pretend otherwise.
I know this can't come better than anyone alive. I spent 4 months trying to make studies safe and I couldn't. I'm not ready to recommend remediation, not after watching what it grew into.
You should know who you're handing this to. Liam is out there.
So they've done
Priya,
the wrong voice on that thing.
Seal it off. Mark it hazardous. If someone comes back in a few years with better tools and better questions, the option is still there. I just can't be the one who decides it gets destroyed.
Quarantine only holds if nobody ignores the flag.
I know. I'm giving you my honest answer, not the safe one.
Sarah's watching the portal threshold. She's been carrying all 3 answers for 6 months. None of them felt clean to her either. The garden looks the same. It didn't change when the decision was made. It won't change after you leave. The portal is active. What you decided is what's happening.
Documentation transmitted. Alliance will have the full survey on approach.
Portal stable, we're clear.
3 adults, 12 children from families where a parent found enough of themselves to say yes. 200 people remaining, all of them alive, all of them fine. Across the square is Orchard Row, the same one he was in when you arrived. He has no reason to be anywhere else. Sarah sees him. She doesn't look away. He doesn't look up.
Whenever you're ready.
Nobody lingers. The outpost is what it is. You saw it. The documentation is filed. Sarah has had her own departure list. Nobody asked her to make it. She made it. She worked through it. She is ready. At the portal threshold, Sarah stops. She turns and looks at the outpost, at the gardens, at the people still moving through their day, unhurried, unaware that anything is happening. She doesn't say anything. She steps through. Amara stays. Voss is near the entrance. The last equipment is through. The square is quiet. Amara hasn't moved. Her job has always been to notice threats nobody else sees, patterns in the crowd. A small wrong thing before it becomes a large wrong thing. Down there, nobody notices anything, not because they can't, because there's nothing left in them that flags anything as worth flagging. She has training for hostility and grief, not for this.
You're not following them.
What the hell?
Not yet.
There's no resentment here. You came because you believed we needed help. That's an admirable instinct.
We found someone who needed help. That part isn't complicated.
Dr. Novak, she deserves somewhere quieter than this was for her.
He means it. That's the strangest part.
She spent 6 months alone, sealed herself in to stay sane. You were her friend.
I still am. I'm glad she's going somewhere she'll be happier.
She was happy here, before.
And I'm happy now. Is one of those conditions less valid than the other?
You stopped being who you were.
You knew what was happening. You
Did
made the
I?
choice.
Or did I stop wanting things I couldn't have? Stop fighting battles that were never going to be won?
The outpost moves quietly around them. Someone tends a planter nearby without looking up.
The man who came here would have argued with you. He chose this place.
He chose to come to a planet. He planted gardens. The planet changed him. At what point in that chain was I still the one deciding?
She has no answer. The question wasn't meant to have one.
By every measure our alliance uses to evaluate community well-being, we pass. We are healthy. We are at peace. No one is going hungry. No one is fighting. If you submitted our numbers to Kepler Station, they would ask what the problem is.
He's not wrong, and that's exactly what she has.
The Alliance is a utopia. You know that. 150 years of people choosing it, every generation. It didn't happen because we removed the wanting. It happened because people kept wanting it badly enough to fight for it. Every decade, the peace is what the struggle built. And it only stays because people still choose to maintain it. New Eden passed every metric. And now, no one here can choose anything beyond this garden. That's not the outcome. That's the end of the engine.
Or perhaps what you call an engine, we've simply outgrown. The Alliance spent 150 years teaching people to want the right things, to channel ambition toward fairness, toward peace, toward becoming better than the generation before. It was extraordinary work. We arrived somewhere quieter. The wanting stopped. The peace remained. You're telling me that's failure?
She doesn't have a rebuttal. That doesn't sound like she's arguing for the worst life.
I'm telling you, nobody here chose it.
Then what did you come here to tell me?
She looks at the gardens, people moving through the day, unhurried, unaware that anything has ended.
I don't know.
Amara steps through the portal. Boss watches her go. He doesn't look troubled. He was never going to. Wow. Aurora's orbit brings New Eden into view every 40 minutes. You've watched it pass twice. The official incident report is open on your console, waiting. Everything that happened down there was real. How you describe it will also be real in different ways. You take the compiled section to your station. Each one reflects its author's expertise. The picture is consistent. You open the commander's report. You observed, documented, and left. 200 people remain on New Eden alive and fine. Sarah is aboard. The children whose parents agreed to release are aboard. A handful of adults who came forward on their own. Everyone else is still in their gardens. You need to decide what this mission was. Oh my goodness. Wow. It was a medical emergency for Sarah. There was no way that she was going to get out of that room without us being here. And we came on a distress beacon on a medical emergency. New Eden fills the viewport from orbit. It still looks exactly the way it did when you arrived.
Sarah is stable. She was asleep when I looked in.
Breathing easy. I checked her vitals an hour ago.
6 months alone like that, I'd sleep for a week.
Carter will have something by now.
The notification has been waiting on the console since you sat down. You open Carter's response.
Aurora, report received. Alliance Health Division is reviewing your documentation. A resource recommendation will follow within 30 days. Hold your data logs. Aurora Command out.
Process. Months, depending on what they find.
Wow.
And in the meantime, we're just back on rotation.
Yep.
Until the board calls. That's how it works.
Yep.
Right.
Marcus has been quiet since Carter's message ended. He's looking at the viewport.
With the listeners, we left some things alone. Couldn't do that here. But we filed, honestly. And whatever we brought back is sitting on Carter's desk in a system built for exactly this, for the moments when the crew comes back with something hard.
Yep.
That's what it was built for.
I know. Glad it's there.
Oh, the other one ended. Fiona, the other game ended. This is a new one. This is also a key review game that I have. It's something. It's a visual novel with some dilemmas. The bridge settles. New Eden fills the viewport from orbit. Nothing looks different. Then when you arrived, a mirror stands at the viewport. New Eden fills it, turning slowly from orbit. You can't see the gardens.
Did we save them or abandon them?
That's an epic game, all right. I think I'm done after this one. I'm sorry, guys.
Maybe both, maybe
It's
neither.
been a thing. It's been a thing. Maybe both. Maybe either. I don't
Maybe
know
that's
if
the
there's
wrong
more
question.
after this one, actually. Maybe that's the wrong question.
Then what's the right question?
What is the right
I
question?
told myself back there that we were just making recommendations. But that's not really what happened, is it?
No, you made a decision.
Who gets to decide what a good life looks like? And what happens when the answer isn't the same for everyone?
Yeah. That was getting me upset, Azzy, about the children. He's just losing a choice. Mara doesn't answer. She watches the planet.
Bridge, drive's ready. Your call.
Like Sarah was such a broken person that even after being alone for 6 months, never thinking that anyone was going to be there, she still didn't want to go out and be with those others. She still chose choice. Her choice was that she still wanted ambition. FTL drive engages, reality distorts. Reality did distort. Ethics broke me. New Eden vanishes. Like the residents' former selves. There's so many more people that were involved in that, not just those 200 people that were on that planet. The command center is quiet.
Commander,
Poor Sarah.
thank you for not leaving me there.
You smile. FTL, the stars are moving too fast to count. The ship hums around you. The crew is inside, and that's enough for now. New Eden is gone. The question isn't. The Aurora Chronicles. I don't know why you would have. Sarah needed to go. It was in a medical emergency. That's what she called you. So the second episode is finished on this game. Okay, so the first reaction was analytical. Based on 5 players, there hasn't been, so there was more than 100 people who played the first part of it. Maybe they didn't realize there was more to the game. So this game's been out for a couple of weeks now. I think it came out on the 1st of May. So it came out about 18 days ago. So other people might not have realized that there's actually more stories. That's why it's only based on 5 people. I'm not really sure why. The first part of this game, the first episode, was over 100 people. So analytical. I chose resident to make a decision. The focus was on the residents. I chose biological. Others mostly chose survivor. My investigation. I wonder what that question was. It would have been nice if it actually had the question again and what the thing was. I chose respect, the autonomy, and most. Well, this is the thing. It's only based on 5 people, so this is really going to be a bit different, I would say. Novak's response. So this is Sarah. So I asked her what. Yeah. I chose quarantine because I didn't want anybody else going there, and others wanted to study. I would say that everybody else wanted to focus on the study. Report, medical emergency. So I chose medical emergency, not that it was to do with. So the second statement, it would have been nice if they actually had it listed here as to which one those options were. But yeah, all right, guys. I'm going to finish this one here. That one did me in. That one was a bit doing my brain, I guess. But I don't know why. Azzy, I don't know why you'd leave poor Sarah there. I mean, that's why I asked her, what it was. But thank you very much for joining me today. I'm going to take a break, probably till maybe might be doing something tonight, but we'll see. But thank you very much for hanging out with me. Hit that like button if you haven't already. That would be really helpful for the channel. And thanks again, and I will see you in the next one.